What's up, manga fans? This is Raphael from C Manga, and welcome back to another review of Bleach. This week's chapter 621, The Dark Curtain. So yes, it was another one of those chapters full of trolling and quite peculiar events. But despite it kind of being, I'd say, not as entertaining as the last two chapters, I still found it interesting as we had some, I'd say, theories that were brought out of this chapter. And the first one was something I kind of brought up in the last chapter. The beginning of this chapter more or less shows that Mimi Hagi-sama has separated from Ukitake thanks to Juha. And this has left me thinking, will he be saved now that he's obviously separated from Mimi Hagi-sama? From what we were told, having any sort of connection to Mimi Hagi-sama and being its host is kind of like a deal, Ukitake more or less gave his lungs away. Mimi Hagi-sama was going to take everything away from him. But now that that deal, in my opinion, has been severed, the connection's been broken, his body's still there and he looks like he's still breathing. Does that mean he will be saved? I think he has, because as I said before, the death flags weren't really there for Ukitake before. So I think, ironically, he has been saved by Juha himself. Now, speaking of Juha, this guy is doing some weird stuff, and I was getting a bit of Spirited Away vibe when he done that whole splitting into various little black monsters, or one-eyed monsters at the beginning of this chapter. And it's weird because when I was looking at this chapter, I was thinking of Ichibei, because obviously the whole darkness and the blackness being his power, and he's kind of done a similar thing where while he's absorbing the Soul King, as Hashwad has mentioned, all of the power that has previously been sealed is now spreading out, and it's just completely enveloped the Serite and cloaking it in darkness. And as I said, the Shinigami are now thinking, what the hell's going on? It looks like it's pitch black night. And as I said, those monsters have all started separating from Juha. He's kind of broken down into these little monsters, and they're all scattering and going down to the Serite. And the elite guard was actually panicking, but Hashwad explains that this is nothing to be concerned about. This is just the Soul King's, you might also say, seals being released, and the enemy will not be the Quincy, it will be the Shinigami. Now it's making me think, now that the Soul King has been released, is this something the Shinigami did because his power was too much to contain, and he was limitless for that reason as well, because his power is, like I said, beyond God. Like, he obviously needed to be contained like a power source in some way, where it doesn't, obviously keeps the balance but doesn't disrupt it at the same time. And now that he's not sealed, his will has been turned to go and fight the Shinigami instead, and not harm the Quincy's. Now I'm wondering, is this something the Soul King has always felt? Was his will changed by the Shinigami to protect the Shinigami and the Soul Site in Serite and everything, or was its will always to protect the Shinigami, and Juha now has twisted it so the Soul King is against the Shinigami? This is something I'm kind of interested in seeing next time. But as I said, it's a lot of peculiar stuff happening, but I really hope we kind of delve more into the Soul King, the past, having a flashback or some more explanation of the entire being altogether, because the whole Shinigami has sealed him and now the seals are gone is something interesting. I really want to know what was done to seal him, why he was sealed, and as I said, what obviously now we want to see what the consequences are now that he's unsealed, all of the powers dispersing. But as I said, the last bit of the chapter was kind of fast. It wasn't really anything too exciting. It was basically showing the captains and the vice captains trying to fend off, the horde, or I'd say swarm of the little black sprite things coming down to the Serite. And it's kind of funny because I know Kubo is trying to introduce Aizen. His return was needed, and then obviously Style. But the way he kind of showed the Shinigami and kind of, I'd say, hopeless or struggling against these little things was a bit annoying. But some people weren't struggling, like Byakuya. I mean, he just came in with Zenbun and pretty much wiped a good few of them out. But the rest started saying, "Oh, we're getting overrun," kind of thing. And then Aizen just enters in all his glory on the throne like a boss, as people like to say, and he's just chilling. He's like, pathetic. It's like you swinging your swords about aimlessly will do nothing when all you need to do is simply use your Ryatsu and crush the whole lot of them. And I'm just thinking, you arrogant asshole, but this is why fans love you. And it's kind of like he's being condescending, but at the same time helpful. He's basically saying, you idiots, this is how you do it. And as arrogant as it is, it kind of needed to be said. And, you know, he's found a more reasonable and easier solution to wipe out this, you might as well say, infestation. Just use Ryatsu, and it's like your own bug spray to clean up the lot of them. But what I like to know is, he's still sealed up. He's still in the chair. How did he get there like that? And it's amazing that his Ryatsu is still so effective at this point. I mean, we did see when that guard tried to seal him, and then his hands pretty much, you know, fingers got him dissolved. But it's just amazing that he's got so much control, and he can use his Ryatsu so freely, just from having a bit of his face seals taken off. So when he's fully released, if he ever is, it's going to be amazing to see what he's capable of, because remember, we still haven't seen his Bankai. Granted, he can use his Zanpakuto again, and as I said, we yeah, that's pretty much it. We have to see his Bankai, so I'm looking forward to see what Aizen's going to do. I have a feeling he might end up fighting against Juha, because, you know, the final battle is, as I said before, between Ichigo and that is not too long off, so maybe someone of his level like Aizen will be able to fight him, and then you know, then Ichigo will get his turn later on. But as I said, this chapter was interesting, other than the trolling. As I said, it was the length of it was kind of short, but as I said, the information I was talking about was interesting. I hope they delve into that more. Aizen's return was hilarious, because all the reactions I'm going to expect next time, like the Vizards, Rukia, Byakuya, Renji, Ichigo when he arrives, all of them have got grudges with him, so it's going to be fun to see how they're going to react next time, and what's going to happen now, you know, that the Soul King is getting fully absorbed. I want to see more of that, and what Ichigo's going to do now that he's plummeting down back to the Serite. Is he going to recover and go back up, or is he going to fall down and then all the Shinigami are going to go up all together? All of this is questions I hope Kubo can answer a bit quicker, as the pacing was a bit iffy this week, so hopefully, you know, he starts picking it up in the coming weeks. As I said, not the best chapter, but it was fun to read and had some fun trolling moments and some interesting information brought up. So that's more or less it for this week. So you guys know the usual. If you got any opinions or any thoughts about this chapter, let me know in the comment box below, and I'll speak to you guys next week. Take care.